I have to say this one. They don't want to be found. The government knows about them and is keeping their existence secret. So maybe one or two of you. Okay. So, okay, how hard is it to make life? Well, what does life need? A suitable planet with the right physical and chemical conditions, the right ingredients, and time. Lots of time. You really do need a lot of time. We know that in our case, to create humans from the time the planet was born has taken about 4.7 billion years. That's 1,000 million years. So we have one data point for the amount of time that you need. But we had to get the right kind of planet first. And in order for that to have had any chance of happening at all, we needed the right kind of star to be here. And in that case, our sun. So a bit about stars and planets. And we now know this, astronomers and cosmologists know this to be fairly right. Given that we know about our own planet's experience that life needs about 5 billion years, then for our sun to play its part, it has to be stable for that long. If the sun varies by plus or minus 1%, we're in deep trouble. So how did it get like that? All stars like our sun form by condensing out of a huge swirling cloud of hydrogen gas. That's that little picture on the far left. And they shed rings of gas in the process. These discarded rings aggregate to form planets. As the formative sun condenses under its own gravity, it gets to the point where its internal temperature and pressure is so high that it starts to fuse its hydrogen into helium. It switches on. This nuclear fusion reaction gives off enormous amounts of energy which power the star. And a bit of trivia, the sun is happily converting hydrogen into helium, annihilating 4 million tonnes of matter every second. Imagine every vehicle in Victoria being absolutely destroyed every second. Once the planets have formed and cooled around the sun's nuclear furnace, it can then settle down to a very long and highly stable middle age until all of its hydrogen has been converted to helium. All of the processes that power normal stars were discovered in the 1920s, and the equations governing these processes are well understood and have been accurately simulated on computers for many years. The amount of time normal stars spend in this lengthy stable phase, that's from about stage 1 to stage 8 on that thing there, and each of those numbers is 1 billion years. That's called its main sequence lifetime. It's an astronomical term we won't go into. And the length of time spent in the main sequence phase is determined primarily by how big the star is, by its mass. Looking at the simple relationship between a star's mass and its main sequence lifetime, we note that if the star is only 35% bigger than the sun, then its main sequence lifetime will be less than 5 billion years. So if you have a star more than 35% bigger, not enough time for life to form. If it's smaller than 80% of the current size of our sun, then its main sequence lifetime is greater than the current age of the universe. Our sun's main sequence lifetime is around 10 billion years, that's 1 with 10 zeros after it, and it is currently about halfway through it. We're in the middle of the middle age of the sun. Clearly our sun's stable phase is of a duration long enough to be able to tick this first box for life. The second thing that life needs, cute name, the Goldilocks Zone. So we've got a star that's stable for 1 with 10 zeros after a number of years. Now we turn to its planets. For life we need a planet to be formed at a distance from its star that allows water to exist in its liquid state. Not too hot, not too cold. You might guess where the name comes from. This turns out to be a region known as the habitable zone or the Goldilocks Zone. Between 80% and 130% of the Earth's distance from the sun. We're this star there. We're not too small, we're not too big, and in that zone there, we're right there. If we were there or there, we'd be outside the Goldilocks Zone. Things seem to have worked well. So Mars is too small, Jupiter's too big, Earth is just right, another tick in the box. So we've got the right size planet with the right ingredients orbiting at the right distance from a star with a stable lifetime long enough to allow life to form on the planet. Earth is often called a Goldilocks planet. Given this set of circumstances, how common would this occurrence be in the universe? Maybe all of these conditions occurring simultaneously is rare. Conclusion, if life is that rare, and if someone is meant to inherit the universe, maybe it's meant to be us. It could be that they are just shy, that is certainly the way Hollywood appears to treat it. Just look at the film Men in Black. They are there, but for some reason unknown to us, they don't want to talk to us. So maybe SETI is a mirror on ourselves. Maybe we just haven't looked at the data the right way. Maybe they are shy or actually dismissive. Maybe we are actually dismissive of the actual result. That is, since 1960, we haven't scanned the whole sky. We have targeted all the suitable stars in our neighbourhood in the galaxy. And as we've pointed out, from a universe that's 15 billion years old and in a galaxy of 10 billion stars, or even 100 billion, it would only have taken one civilization to fill the entire galaxy with possibly 10 billion years. If we were to accept our SETI data, that is, to own the data as it stands today, it says something very concerning. Life free of the star of origin is extremely difficult. Maybe the political and technological problems that we face here on this planet have occurred elsewhere. There is a possibility that these problems are universal. That is, becoming independent of one's planet is so difficult that no ET so far has actually achieved it. They had all the technology available for doing so, just as we do today. They lived maybe for millions of years, and then some catastrophic event in the order of millions of years wiped them out. Then we come along, listen out, and hear nobody out there. We too experience some catastrophic event. Then in the future, some other life emerges on some other planet, listens around, wondering where everybody is. They too look at the challenge ahead as too difficult, hesitate, and they too go extinct on their planet. If the SETI result is turned around and presented as a mirror on ourselves, it is actually a worrying image that we see. Are we going to be like ET and not rise to the challenge that we are confronted with?
Okay, so two more ways of looking at this issue. The one I'm covering now is called the Theanthropic Principle. The key point of the Theanthropic Principle goes something like this. There is no such thing as an objective observation. All observations have an intrinsic bias in them. The origin of that bias is that we can only make observations from the perspective of a conscious entity. Hence, the Theanthropic Principle is not really about anthropos, meaning human, but it has to do with being conscious. The overarching observation that we now have is that we're in a huge universe. It's mostly made up of a vast empty space. Yet we find ourselves not in that vastness, but rather in a rather unusual place. We're on the surface of a planet that is only a tiny fraction of space. Not only that, but we find ourselves on an extremely unusual planet, a Goldilocks planet. Is that a coincidence? The Theanthropic Principle therefore leads to the conclusion that maybe it is not a coincidence, that in fact this must be the type of place where conscious entities come to exist. Not in the vast emptiness of space, but rather in places where molecules come together to bring life into existence and hence consciousness. Now that all may sound really nice, but in fact it leads to a doomsday argument. Because if we keep following that logic, there is a variation that goes something like this. Given there are a finite number of conscious entities that will exist, where are you most likely to find yourself? Well, where the population is greatest. From the basic principles of observation having an intrinsic bias, then there is an argument that says we're most likely to find ourselves in a time and place where the conscious entities is at a maximum. Guess what? We look around, we find ourselves in a time and place where we are worried about issues to do with overpopulation, global warming, the post-agricultural culture, population soaring and so on. The concern with our own overpopulation is actually historically unprecedented, but here we are. So rather than going on with an abstract explanation, we've got a sample of people here so we can actually do an experiment. It'll be on you. Sorry, assistant.
Okay, what I need to do is pick someone at random. Any volunteers?
No, we don't want a microphone. I'm just giving it the clipboard.
No, is that the one we're doing?
Yeah, just give it the clipboard, text them. Yep.
Right, okay. Okay, I need a volunteer. Oh, we have one here.
Okay, you've got someone?
Just here. Yes, I do.
Okay. Now before you start, does that person know me?
Do you know George?